Hi, and welcome to the very first video of a series of 3 videos to help you manage this incredibly situation that you find yourself in at the moment. And my name is Dermot Horn, and I'm the owner of a company in Chicago called Lifelong Lifestyles. And my company is focused on helping people learn how to make lasting changes in health-related behaviors. And I'm delighted that I received this opportunity from the ICS to share with you information to help you manage stressful and worrisome experiences that you may be facing right now. The topics of the 3 videos will be on exercise, mindfulness, and connection and gratitude. And each of these 3 topics have been scientifically proven to help people manage stressful and anxiety-driven experiences. So during each video, I will share with you some of the background, the relevant information you need to know in order to apply the strategy, and then I will help you create an action plan so that you can begin taking action so that you actually benefit from these proven strategies. So without hesitation, let's jump right into it. You may not even realize it if you are stressed. So I'd like to do a quick body check, or a couple of quick body checks, to tell if you are or if you're not experiencing stress right now. So check 1, pay attention to your breathing. Is it shallow? To find out, place one hand on your chest and place the other hand onto your belly. And then when you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to pay attention to which hand is moving the most. So breaths that calm you, they go slow and low. They draw air deep into your lungs so that your chest and belly expand. Whereas shallow breaths, these breaths can feed tension and tend to involve only your chest. So which hand is moving for you? Is it the hand on your chest, or is it both? Okay, let's move to check number 2. And I want you to bring your attention to your neck and to your shoulders. Is there tension there? So now take a deep breath, inhale, and as you do, squeeze your shoulders towards your ears. Hold this, and as you breathe out, slowly allow your shoulders to fall back down, relaxing them as much as possible. How does that feel? Are your shoulders lower than they were a moment ago? Is there a little bit more relaxation there than there was before you gave your first deep breath? And the final check, check number 3, let's pay attention to your jaw and your fists. Are they clenched? So take a deep breath and then relax your jaw on your exhale until your lips are slightly separated. Then take another deep breath, and on this exhale, relax your hands so that your fingers are loosely parted. Do you feel a difference? If you don't feel a difference, you can intentionally clench your jaw, and then as you breathe out, then deliberately relax it. And you can do the same thing with your hands. Deliberately tighten your fist, and then the exhale, slowly relax your fingers. Do you feel tension release? And a little bit more relaxation? So, how are these exercises? Did you notice any tension in your body during any of those checks? Now, most of us will experience some tension, and these are really good exercises to help you build your awareness of stress in your body. So you can use these throughout the day to see, are you experiencing stress? And you can use them as little tips to slowly create some release. Okay, now I want to ask you a question, and I want you to grab a pen and paper for this because I do want you to write down your answer to the question. So if you need to, pause the video, then go grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and come back and then press play again. So the question is, in what ways does the stress in your life at this moment concern you? Go ahead and write down your answers. Pause the video and take as long as you need to write down everything. So there is a downside to chronic stress, and most of us may be aware of that, of course, but I'm just going to touch on this for a few seconds. Now, on the surface, the classic stress response makes sense. You hear a car screech its brakes, and a surge of hormone is released into your body, and this helps you sprint out of the car's way far faster than you would normally move. Now, the stress hormones that spill into your blood to allow you to jolt out of the car's way, this is a good thing, but unfortunately, genuine life-threatening events like the car are not the only situation that kick off your stress response. Right now, there is a genuine threat of infection from coronavirus, but many of us are experiencing a threat to our well-being from non-life-threatening events associated with the situation we find ourselves in. And these are just some examples, but some things that can kick this off may be the news, social media posts, things like the radio, hearsay from friends, or even your own internal thoughts. And that's where the trouble starts, because your body does a really poor job of telling the difference between a genuine life-threatening event and day-to-day stressful situations. And what I'm saying here is your life is not in danger by the things like watching the news or hearsay from friends, but your body is responding to it as if it were in danger. And what you see in the news can trigger the stress response, and this can result in the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that are really unhelpful and unpleasant. And on top of that, you don't have the quick physical release you get from jolting away from the oncoming car. And for this reason, the stress that was released into your blood tends to build up as the day rolls on. Then, adding to the turmoil is anticipation of potential problems when, say, layoff rumors fly around or COVID cases are increasing. You know, without realizing it, you might make assumptions about whether you'll be laid off, or what might happen if you become infected, or what might happen if you step outside your door. And this can set off a whole cycle of things. More things like a clenched jaw, tight neck, tight shoulders, shallow breathing, and anxiety. When your body repeatedly experiences this response, or when the arousal is never fully switched off, your body's response to these stressors becomes unhealthy. And in situations like this, your body's stress response kicks in sooner, and it kicks in more frequently than normal. And this increases the burden your body must handle. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video again for a moment, grab your pen, grab your paper, and write down your answer to this question. What actions am I currently taking to cope with the stress I'm experiencing? Write down all the things you are doing. Now I'd like to touch on something called resilience. So people react in dramatically different ways to an event. While one person can scream, curse, stomp their feet, their friend who's right beside them can stop, take a deep breath, calmly gather information, and then take decisive action. Now, why is this difference important? It's important because you may not have the power to change the situation you're in right now. In other words, we don't get to determine what phase we are in, how long a phase will last, or how people respond to COVID. But you can control how you cope with the situation you are in. And your wellness depends on both the total amount of stress in your life, over which you may have little or no control, and your ability to deal with that. And that's what's called your resilience. So simply put, resilience is your ability to bounce back from a difficult situation. How you respond to a stressful situation is determined by many ever-changing interacting factors. And some of us were lucky to grow up in environments surrounded by people who are loving, emotionally responsive, consistent, and reliable. And this upbringing can give those people a head start with resilience. But even people who find this situation challenging or overwhelming can learn to be resilient. You have the power to boost your resilience and to expand the range of ways you cope with this current situation. And learning to create something called the relaxation response helps enormously in controlling stress. And we will be focusing on that much more specifically in the next video when we discuss mindfulness and breathing. But the relaxation response can also be brought about from exercise, and it works best when combined with specific resilience training. And self-care strategies like eating well, exercising, and nurturing yourself will build your resilience. So for a moment, just imagine that you have a personal energy battery, and this energy battery recharges and drains as life unfolds or the day unfolds. The frequent arousal of the stress response drains your personal energy battery. It begins to make withdrawals on your energy. On the other hand, self-care strategies like exercise, deep breathing, and talking with friends, praying, so on, these can actually help recharge your personal energy battery. These top it up rather than drain it day by day. Okay, we're going to pause again, and let's grab your pen and let's grab your paper and write down your answer to this question. How would you feel if you could make some improvements in your ability to manage stress and build your resilience? As I just mentioned, one thing you can do to build resilience is to exercise, and that's where we're going to focus for the remainder of this video. Now, experts say if exercise were packaged up and put in a pill, everyone would be hooked. And that's because taking 30 minutes of daily exercise, something at a moderate intensity like walking briskly or even performing housework at a relatively fast pace, delivers a whole host of benefits. And to be honest, it's really amazing to think about it because this is not a pill. You don't have to pay for it and you don't need equipment. Yet the benefits will help lower blood pressure, strengthen your immune system, and boost your mood. What's more is exercise diffuses stress directly, and it will place a calming effect on your mind. And doing aerobic exercise regularly, like walking, swimming, rowing, cycling, any of these things, these will help you control the stress you're experiencing right now, because it causes the stress system to generate fewer hormones in response to the situation you find yourself in. And this is critically important right now under the circumstances we are living. And what do I mean by this? So if you exercise shortly after you feel your stress levels rise, let's say after hearing news that corona cases have spiked in your country, you will burn off the stress hormones that were released. And just like the car example from earlier, and the beauty of this is just about any form of movement helps relieve that pent-up muscle tension. Now, exercise has another benefit. It increases the production of feel-good chemicals in your body, the exact same chemicals that are responsible for the famous runner's high, and this is going to boost your mood. And that's not all. So exercise can actually help prevent the damaging effects of stress, and what's more, it can reverse damage that's already occurred due to stress. So it protects the parts of the brain that are involved in learning and memory and can improve your body's regulation of its own emotions. It's incredible. So what type of exercise should you do? Now, when it comes to stress, some forms of movement lend themselves better to stress relief than others. In particular, activities like yoga, which is very much a mind-body exercise, and rhythmic repetitive exercise such as walking, running, cycling. These all help elicit the relaxation response that I talked about earlier. So regularly engaging in these types of exercise will help you counteract everyday stress you're experiencing. And these, I suggest, be your go-to choices for stress relief. Okay, one more pause. Pause the video, grab your pen and write down your answer to this question. What would be better for my loved ones if I made improvements in how I handle my stress? Now, all this information I've shared is great, but Honestly, it only helps you cope and build resilience if you take action. And without action, there really is no benefit to knowing about exercise and how it can help you right now. So I want to spend the remainder of this video helping you to start exercising regularly. And the best starting place is setting a goal. So just a few moments ago, I mentioned that when it comes to stress, there are two types of exercise I suggest you focus on performing. And the first was yoga, which is very much, as I said, a mind-body exercise. And the second was rhythmic types of exercise. So like walking, dancing, cycling, rowing, and running. And your first step in setting an effective goal is to choose an activity. So take a moment to consider which activity would be easiest for you to perform, and then write that down. And when you've chosen your exercise, your next step is to decide on a duration for which you will do this. So how long will you walk for? Or how long will the yoga class be that you'll take? And most people will set big goals here. But if you're to be successful, you need to set the goal to your level. In other words, ask yourself, how many minutes am I spending doing this activity currently? And of course, the temptation is always to shoot for the moon. But when it comes to establishing a new routine, missing the moon and reaching the stars is not going to work. So start with an activity and a duration you are guaranteed to achieve, and then gradually pace out your increases over time. For exercise and stress, your ultimate target is a minimum of 150 minutes of moderate paced exercise a week. So if you're not currently exercising 150 minutes per week, then I strongly recommend aiming for a time closer to where you currently are. And then, as I said, pace out increases in duration over several weeks until you're hitting the minimum target of 150 minutes. Now, once you've set a goal, so you've chosen the exercise and you've chosen for how long you'll do it, you could be tempted to just start, just to get going. But please hold on for a second. Remember, the benefits of exercise on your stress only come from you doing it. Just like taking blood pressure medication, it only works if you're taking it. So we need to practice more things to make sure we take action on our goal, and then that we continue to take action on our chosen form of exercise. And one of these things you've got to practice is monitoring yourself. It's so easy to forget that there's something new you want to start doing. And to be honest, it's actually harder when you're stressed because your thoughts are scattered. So there is something to help you with this, and it's called self-monitoring. And self-monitoring is the practice of keeping a written record of your exercise journey. Basically, on a piece of paper, write down your chosen activity, be it walking, running, cycling, or something else like dancing or yoga. Stick that piece of paper in a place you will see easily, like the fridge door, your front door, inside your sock drawer, and then record how many minutes you spend doing that activity every single day. This way, you don't have to remember to exercise. Seeing the sheet will remind you. Also, you will see your progress and you will spot a lack of progress much earlier, and this will give you a chance to course correct. Now, many people stop recording when they are going well because they start feeling like they've got a good handle on things. But that's a common mistake because it takes a long time for a routine to become ingrained, a lot longer than most people think. So when you decide you're going to be mindful about exercise, remind yourself that seeing the exercise chart helps you to be mindful by reminding you. Your brain is busy. Exercising regularly may not be what it's used to doing, so give it a helping hand. Your surroundings, along with support, have probably been the two areas most impacted by COVID. And for most of us, barriers in our environment have popped up everywhere, and that's made things really hard for exercise, but it actually hasn't made it impossible. So believe it or not, you do still have some control over your environment, and you can and you need to use this to your advantage, but you have to put the effort in to set it up. How can you do this? Well, consider an activity you want to perform, something like yoga, walking, dancing, whatever it is you've chosen. Now, first question, are you willing to leave your home to perform this? If you're not, that's okay. Then what can you add to your home to make performing the exercise you've chosen both possible and easy? So grab your pen and paper and write a list of physical things in your environment that make it hard for you to do the exercise you've chosen. And then circle the things that can be removed. After that, write a list of physical things that could make things easier for you to perform this exercise. Which of those can you start adding to your environment? Now, if I were considering this, some things I might ask myself are, is space a problem? Can I create some extra space? Is TV a problem? Can I remove it or unplug it? Can I put away the remote control? Am I about to watch something on YouTube and do I need to set up a screen to watch the workout? Do my clothes need washing? Are they easy for me to get to? Am I forgetting that I'm supposed to be exercising, and could I set up reminders around my house or put alarms on my phone to help? If you're going outside, do you have your face mask ready? Do you have hand sanitizer convenient? Are there times of the day when it's quieter outside on the streets when you could walk or run without meeting other people? Yes, there are more barriers in your environment to exercise, but that's all it is. It just means you have to overcome extra barriers, but it is still very possible to exercise. So I've just talked about setting up your environment to try and make exercise easier for you. And that's really crucial, because just think about it. If your environment is making exercising hard and you're not already exercising, then your chances of starting and continuing it become much more difficult. Now, the same thing can be said for the people in your life. They can make exercising either easier or tougher for you. And it's up to you to try and get them on your side, because having people on your team is incredibly powerful for someone who wants to start exercising. And remember, if you're not exercising, you are not going to get the stress relieving benefits it offers. Unfortunately, the benefits only come with you moving. What I want you to do is write a list of 5 people you see most often. Or if you are completely isolated, 5 people you speak to most often. And after that, when you've written down your 5 names, I want you to separate this list into 2 categories. One category I want you to title Change Partners, and the second category I want you to title Supporters. Now, just to give you some definitions here, a change partner is someone who's going to try and exercise with you. They are going to try and take on making this change with you. Now, a supporter is someone who's going to encourage you and cheer you on. You will ask them to check in with you periodically to see what progress you are making and to encourage you when you're finding it difficult to keep going. So when you've separated your list of 5 people into either change partners or supporters, then I want you to write out the exact help these people could offer you that you would benefit most from. So if it's a change partner, consider scheduling times and dates you plan to exercise together. If it's outside, then you can consider scheduling a location to meet. If it's online, then create a calendar invitation for a video workout. And it doesn't have to be Zoom. This can be FaceTime, this can be WhatsApp video, it can be Facebook video. Just something where you guys are there together, virtually or physically. Do your best to get supporters who are committed to changing with you. So it really has to be a person who's going to stick this out with you. So do your best to select those type of people from the get-go. And remember, in this situation, they are not only supporting you, you are also supporting them. So for both of you, this really is a true win-win. And when you've completed a list and you've separated it out into 2 categories and you've identified the exact type of help you need, then I want you to start reaching out and asking them for that exact help. So are you asking them to try and work out with you, or are you asking them to check in with you and see how you're doing? All right, so the final thing I want you to do, and I understand this may sound a little silly, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful in trying to help you establish the habit of exercising. And that's every time you perform the exercise you want, whether that be yoga or walking or whatever, immediately afterwards, I want you to deliberately tell yourself, good job. This subtle reinforcement will give you a positive feeling immediately after performing the exercise you want. And this subtle feeling makes it more likely you will perform it again. And the more often you perform the exercise, the more likely it becomes your go-to response for stress. And if it becomes your go-to response for stress, the more resilient you will become. And the more resilient you become, the better you will be able to handle the stressful situations we are currently experiencing. And here's the final question. Question number 5. So just pause for a moment, grab your pen, grab your paper, and when you're ready, press play again. All right, question, try and get some commitment here. What will you do today to get started with exercise? So there you have it. You've just gone through the science of how exercise can help you cope with stress and how important it is to help you to be resilient in this incredibly tough time you are facing right now. Also, the answers to each question I've asked, the question 1 through 5, these can be incredibly effective at boosting your motivation. So I recommend you keep your answers to these questions in a place you see frequently and review them regularly. Because if you do this, you will be reminded of why using exercise as a tool to de-stress and build resilience is important to you. And that level of motivation is all you need to take action today. And finally, I went through 5 steps of an action plan for you, represented by the letters SMART. So it's set a goal, monitor your progress, arrange your environment to make things easier, recruit support to help you, and then treat your exercise. So each one of these represents a skill that if you practice will help you exercise regularly. So use this action plan, practice each skill, SMART, and continue to use them and practice the skills, and you will continue to exercise. If you stop using these skills, and it's likely you will slowly start drifting back to your old ways. And you won't drift back because you're a failure, and you won't drift back because you don't have what it takes, and you certainly won't drift back because you don't have the motivation. It's because old habits die hard, and we need a strategy to build new habits. And we need to practice that strategy long term for those new habits to become permanent habits. And if you create permanent habits, then you're going to have built yourself a very resilient strategy, and you'll be able to handle this situation of COVID very effectively. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you put the tips I've shared to use so that you can really start reaping the truly amazing benefits exercise can offer stress and buffer the challenge you're experiencing right now. So next week, we will be talking about mindfulness and deliberately creating the relaxation response to further enhance the release of stress. So until then, get going on exercise. You can do it. Trust me. Start where you are and take it from there.